Hi, I'm Miss Mercer, and I will be teaching your Sunday Level 5 Day 2 lesson for today. Sorry, we're on the wrong slide here. Okay, for the following slides, you're going to have your child read each sound aloud. We're going to try to do this as rapidly as possible. If the student makes an error, say, let's trace. So you would say if they did the letter I incorrectly, you would say, this is the letter I, which says I, and then you would show the keyword slide itch. Then you would have them trace it 3 times. I, 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 3 times, okay? But you would also want to show that keyword slide just to give them a mental prompt. Please remember not to add the schwas on your sounds. And R is often something that has a common mistake. So make sure your child is not saying they're saying r. Okay, so let's go forward. Make sure you don't add, say b, say b, not b. Okay, now we're going to go forward. You can pause whenever your child needs more time to give you the sound. Okay, so now we're going to the spell sound section. I'm going to dictate some sounds to your student, and then they're going to repeat the sound, and then they're going to write it. This would be what the format of the paper would be if we were in school. You would write your sounds in this section on the spell sound section. Obviously, you can use whatever you need to use at home. You can even use the note section on your iPad if you do not have paper. Okay, so I am going to give you the sound. The student's going to repeat the sound and then write it. If you need to pause the video while you're writing, feel free to. Mm, ah, l, j. Remember to repeat j, then write it and say it at the same time. I, ah, s, t. Okay. If you're looking at your students' work and you see that they made an error, we like to kind of do a little prompting to get them to do the error correction. So you could say, and I know if you've seen previous videos, this is repetitive, but I don't know where each student is starting in the series. So you could say, I wanted s. What letter makes the s sound? And hopefully the student will say that. And if not, you can give them the answer, but we really want to help them um, give the error correction on their own. And then you would say, yes, S. So if you didn't have that, Cross that out. Now write it 2 more times. So you'll have the student write it once and then have them write S says S, S says S. So they get more practice with the unknown sound. Okay? Okay. You can also ask your child again. I know we've done this in previous lessons, but I know certain people are starting in different sections. You can ask the learner, what are 2 ways that you can write K? Tell me 2 ways that you can write K. And the answer to that would be by using the C and the K. Okay. Okay, now the students are getting ready to read one column of words from the next page. Make sure they place their finger underneath the word. If they make an error, say, let's trace. Students need to be looking at the word while they trace each letter and saying each sound. So, for instance, if they missed the word mat, okay, they would look at the screen and then they would trace each letter while they say each sound. Ah, t, mat. And they would do that 3 times. Ah, t, mat. But you want them to do that while they're looking at the word as well. They will do that a total of 3 times for automaticity. Okay, so as I said in previous lessons, you can pick one of the columns to read. If your child doesn't get the new material and you want to repeat the lesson, this is how you can vary it. So you could have them read this column today, and if you want to repeat the lesson, have them do this column tomorrow. So pause the video and have them read. Make sure that they're following underneath each word with their finger, one of the columns. Okay, now we're getting to the spell words section. I'm going to repeat this again. If you're watching the videos all in a row, I'm sorry for the redundancy, but people are starting in different sections. So this is just an example of touch spelling. If you are right-handed, you would be writing with this hand. Your writing instrument would be in that, and then you would be touch spelling with your pinky, starting with your pinky, 1, 2, 3, following the left to right sequence of our language. If you were a lefty, you would be writing with your left, and then you would be touch spelling starting with your thumb, at. Okay, and that's how that would go because we want to follow how our language works in the left to right sequence. Okay, so I'm going to dictate some words. You're going to repeat the word, then you're going to touch spell the word, and then you're going to say each sound aloud while writing the word. If we were in school, this would be the section that you would be writing the words that I am giving you. Okay, first word, mop. Repeat mop, touch spell mop, then touch spell and write mop. You will follow that pattern for all of the rest of the words. You may pause the video to give yourself time to do that for each word. Ran, top, bit, pop, tap, log, lip. Okay, give yourself time to finish writing all of these words. Pause the video until you have them written. Now we're getting ready to check your words. Okay, if you made an error, cross it out. Do not erase, but cross it out and write it 3 times. Parents at home, sometimes this can help us see a pattern that they might have with an error that tells us what we need to go back and reteach. So, mop. If you did not have it spelled this way, cross it out and spell it correctly and write it 3 times. Ran. Same thing. If you made an error, cross it out. Don't erase. Write it 3 times correctly. They only have to write it 3 more times if they made a mistake and an error. This is top, bit, pop, tap, log, lip, Okay, so now we're going to go to the spell words or phrases section. I'm going to make sure I dictate them as whole phrases and sentences, not word by word. The learner will repeat the sentence or phrase, tapping one word per finger. If they are sentences, they will check for capitalization and punctuation. And also, when they're finished, we'll make sure they read the words back to us. If they need to have the words dictated again after I do it, have the learner look away from the screen while you dictate at home. So this will go in this section right here, the spell words, phrases, and sentences part, if you are working at school. Okay, so I'm going to give you the phrases. There's 2 phrases today. Top hat. The learner will repeat the phrase. They will tap one word per finger, top hat, and then they will write it. After they're done writing it, have them read it to you. The next one is tip it. They would go tip it. They would repeat, well, first they'd repeat it, tip it. Then they would go tip it, and then they would write it. And then they would read it back to you. Now we're going to check our sentences. If this is what you had, if you did not have this, cross it out, don't erase, and write it again. Top hat. Tip it. And here is our new sound. X, as in fox. I want you to have your learner write X says X, X says X, X says X 3 times. Also have them write it 3 times right here in the Introduce New Material section. Now we're going to have the learner read from the word book. Put your finger under each word. You may pause the video and give your learner time to read these words. Now we're under the new material section again. And I'm going to dictate these words to you. The learner will repeat the word, they will touch spell each word, and then they'll say each sound out loud while writing it on paper. I'm going to go quickly because my computers are ready to die. Mix, tax, fox, box, and axe. Then the learner will reread the list of words just written back to you. Then finally, you'll do the read aloud. Your student will read aloud this word. You can pause the video to give them extra time to do so. Thank you for being part of my Sunday lesson today. Do not know why this isn't working. Sorry, I don't know. There we go. Sorry.